So, hi everyone. My name is Jackson Gilmore, and this is my presentation on how early American literature challenged me. Um, Not just understand the history, but the identity and freedom of writing and how to find your own voice. Um, why can't I switch this? Okay, there we go. So I didn't expect sorry, I have it on both screens, so I keep looking up at the other monitor. Um, I did a lot of reflection with this. I didn't expect like 200 to 400-year-old writings to still hit home with the same stories, but I mean, looking at other stories, it's not too far off now that I'm really thinking about it. But the stories, poems, speeches, they are all very similar sentiments to things going on today. Uh, these things are what I'll be talking about, which is reflecting on my personal growth, highlighting key literary analyses, my favorite reading, and my original works that I wrote of interpreting some of these things. So I developed a deeper feel for sentiments going back, like I said, 400 some years at times. Um, these people were all talking about how to figure out how to live in that messed up world and how to make things work. And that's something that people still do to this day, just in slightly different ways. I talked about how I felt about some of the things, especially with like Emerson and Wheatley and what they had to say, um, and also gained insight to how literature shapes cultural memory, which is still a thing, but mostly now it's on screens instead of in paper. So, oh yeah, my personal thing. So, all of my analyses and reflections are my own thoughts, my own experiences, everything that I've thought into these things. And while I didn't always agree with everything I read, I did pull something from it and try to understand from it. Um, Engaging with literature is not about the right answer. It's about wrestling with those ideas that are presented to you until you can make something out of it. Um, so one of the earliest sets of people we talked about was Jonathan Edwards and Benjamin Franklin, and their sentiments couldn't be more opposed to one another. Edwards was very much about uh, emotionalism and appealing to fear and trying to push everything as right now it's coming. If we don't fix things, we're going to die. Like, this isn't going to work out. And Franklin was more of the belief of figure out what's going on. And even when you mess up, it's not the end of the world. You got to keep pushing and use that mistake to fix things future, which I tend to agree more with Franklin. I don't think Edwards is necessarily wrong in his thinking. He's just a lot more extreme with how he puts things out than Franklin is. Both of these people did shape the understanding of American morals and intellectual roots. You still have a lot of people with the same sentiments as them today, still spouting ideas. Um, so Phyllis Wheatley was the person I enjoyed reading the most from, which is she used the people who are oppressing her's religion to argue for her equality of her people. Um, she took their words and always said, you always say these things. Things like, one line that struck me was, remember, Christians, Negroes, though black as Cain, may be refined and join the angelic train. Basically saying, we may look different, but that doesn't mean we can't be saved as well. Like, since obviously racism was a very big thing back then and still somewhat is today. Um, she demonstrated how poetry can be spiritual, which is a common sentiment, and political, which not many people do it together. So the construction of the American identity was from Thomas Paine, or wait, I forgot his first name, but Paine, Thomas Jefferson, Wheatley, So obviously pain was revolution and self-determination, going into yourself and being strong. Jefferson was about going against slavery, though that's kind of ironic, seeing as he did own his own slaves. And Wheatley was about spiritual equality and clarity of morals, saying, hey, you can't just say these things and then not back it up with what you're doing. Uh, all of these were visions, while similar in sentiment, were very opposed to one another at the same time. At that time, now people have kind of taken them and been like, well, this was good, so we're going to use that, but this was bad, so we're not going to take that with us, and things of that sort. Um, so Bradford and Rowland were obviously they were writers, but Bradford was very formal in how he did things. He um, he was a leader in how he wrote and how he acted. He always felt like he was documenting something. Everything was always according to God's plan, and the community would survive as long as they believed. And Rowlandson was raw, very emotional writer. Always talked about what they believed and how she felt down in her heart and how everything affected her and how what she did with that. And that was powerful, very powerful. I almost put that instead of uh, was it Wheatley? It was very good writing. Um, they obviously had different goals. Like one wanted a legacy, whilst like Bradford wanted legacy. He wanted to be able to say, I was here and I did this, while Rowlandson was very much of personal, I made it through. Don't glorify me, just look at what I did and take word from that. So Bradford was very collective and Rowlandson was very, this is my life, this is what I believed, this is how I got through, things like that. The sacred and the colonials versus like the indigenous was the Iroquois viewed their land as sacred. They viewed everything they had as this is our home. We should cherish it because we were gifted this. This is not something we could just have and make ourselves. While Smith looked at it and was like, oh, uh, we can use this and we can make money and we can get resources to use for other things. It's a very clashing of minds of this is opportunity versus this is something we should keep and work towards, like making better in what ways we can. uh, I'm blanking on the Columbus and Devaka mix, but that's okay. Contrast reveals deep cultural conflict. Obviously, this is true. It shows, like I've said several times, one group wanted resources and to be able to create things, whilst the other wanted to have identity and a place to cherish and work to continue to upkeep. So Emerson and Thoreau were also very similar in how they did things. So Emerson always talked about trusting himself and looking into himself for what he believes. He always said, what was the words? Uh, conformity is suicide. Like giving into what everybody else is doing is giving up on yourself, which is very common today. It's almost like there isn't commonality in people anymore, especially in my generation of younger people. It's almost like everyone has to be different. There is no sameness. And Thoreau was very simple. He literally went into the woods and was like, "All right, this is how I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live every day. Whatever happens, happens." And while I understand wanting to get away from everything because it's a lot, but I could never do that myself. I wouldn't want to do that. Um, Obviously very relevant to people today in school, young people and old. So all of this, everything in this class taught me to listen to the past. Obviously, like history is very important. You want to look back because there's always quotes of history is decided by the victors, things like this. But whenever you look at both sides, you get an idea of what was going through their minds and how things happened and how things got to where they were. You need to look at both sides. You need to look at things. with understanding and not just be like, oh, well, I think that guy has a better idea, so I'm just gonna go with that. Um, we read a lot about how people did things, like how they defined what they believed and how they expressed themselves and how they questioned things around them and looked at them and were like, oh, maybe this isn't the best, maybe I could help do something. And people try that now and it feels like it doesn't work. But I mean, it's getting your voice heard is what all of this was really writing towards. Questioning systems is a huge thing now with pretty much everyone. Like what's going on in the world, you have questions, you have concerns, and it was talked about even way back then when things even seemed simpler. Looking back at it made me more thoughtful. Um, Made me want to think more about things and not just kind of go day to day and look at a short form video and waste it and not do anything with my day. It made me want to actually sit down and think about things. Uh, Thank you. Um, yeah, that's about it. Thank you.